a kind of a final. I mean, the theme of owning or ruling the planet is an ancient one, and is probably...
It is an ancient one, yeah. It is an and, sort of somebody, this is the point, I mean, somebody's going to be crowned world king, aren't they, at some point?
Probably,
yes, and, here's one for you, mate, but, I secretly suspect that's what Mr. Blair had his eye on all along.
Really?
Oh, God. Oh, he would love it. He would love it.
Oh, okay. the king of the planet.
He's just born 1 or 2 generations too soon for that.
Probably, yeah.
But quite seriously, and this is something which we need to consider. I think, so Mr. Blair, obviously in Great Britain now, people are heaving a sigh of relief and thinking that, thinking that we've got rid of the man. I tell you what, we have not even seen the beginning of Mr. Blair's reign or Mr. Blair's influence.
Yeah.
He is going to have a career that is much bigger than Clinton's post-presidential career. I really suspect that.
Wasn't he rewarded, or what do you call it, granted, or whatever, a position within? Was it the UN, or what the heck was it?
No. Here is the irony of ironies, my friend, and it is kind of slightly sickening. But actually, Mr. Blair's new position is as envoy for peace. Working in the Middle East.
That's right. That's what it was. Yeah, that's right.
Now, let's just take a step back and have a look at that again. Envoy for peace in a region that he has ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, isn't it? It's like classic George Orwell speak, isn't it?
Of course.
Yeah. War means peace. Peace means war. Freedom means whatever.
Sure.
Incarceration. Sure. Anyway, but isn't that? I just find that kind of slightly amusing, and it's something which we need to reject if we can.
Yeah, and again, I mean, it just shows you that once these guys are in, they're going to spend the rest of their lives jumping from one position to another, and we think that, okay, well, he's not a politician now, it's a diplomat or whatever,
Precise, and that is the really interesting thing, is that he is no longer he no longer has the mandate of we the people. But nonetheless, he's now more powerful than he ever was. He knows that. I think. I'm pretty sure his wife knows that. He's certainly going to be a lot richer than he ever was.
Yeah.
I don't diss the guy in some ways. I see in some ways. I mean, I'll tell you something about Tony Blair is that I suspect that he's overcome a stutter, and so I kind of quite admire him in that way. But and there are other things I quite admire about him. He's not all bad, but he seems to be sort of conferring a certain agenda which I take a step back and look at and don't really like.
That's right. Yeah, we gotta judge, or if you want to judge,
him,
of course, but
precisely, exactly.
By the fruits. Yeah, by the fruits, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's my point.
And in the case of Tony, in the case of Tony Blair in Great Britain, his fruits have not exclusively been rotten, but certainly post 9/11, I'm afraid, his grapes have turned very, very sour.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And
interestingly, sort of pre 9/11, sort of Blair was a popular and respected leader. So,
do you think I mean, I guess I can't remember now the circumstances under which he got in, but of course, as many others, he was a Bilderberger back then, and hang on a few of those meetings.
I tell you, this is the key with Mr. Blair. This is how you understand what Blair's all about. And again, I admire this because, as I said earlier, I'm a bit of a frustrated performer. But he is an Oscar-winning actor.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a beautiful actor. He is. I must be honest. He's shit hot. Even his final performance in the House of Commons. Me, like Mr. Conspiracy. I listened to that on Radio 4, and I had a lump in my throat. I thought, and then I had to kind of, sort of catch myself and realise, look, for fuck's sake, the guy's manipulating your emotions again.
There you go.
But he does it so well. He does it much better than Mr. Brown, who is a guy, I think, who might he has some ideas of his own which are leading towards a better future. At least he's suggesting that. Obviously, we need to look at his fruits. But he is certainly talking a good game at the moment.
I mean, and after a while, after these guys get into the position that they're in, of course they already have a background in handling the media and so forth. But
Yeah.
I mean, now
and I have a feeling, just talking from personal experience, I mean, something that's worked for me, and I'm not going to get evangelical about it, but I've had hypnotherapy, and hypnotherapy has helped me to tap into some of my infinite genius in my writing, in my language. It's not there yet, but if it is there, if I do, it's going to be spectacular. It's true of you and me and everybody else. And I look at Blair and I wonder, in fact, I more than wonder, I strongly suspect that a lot of these guys know about hypnosis, know about hypnotherapy, and that is part of where they sort of derive that sense of supernal sort of authority that they seem to wield. It's just an idea, but certainly if you look at like Fritz Springmeier, Freeman, some of these guys would certainly agree that I'm on the right track there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and then it becomes very narrow to the aspect of actually if they have handlers or even mind control to a certain extent, So,
well, handlers. Yes, that's an interesting one. I mean, like Fritz Springmeier, for example. I've read his 2 big, thick documents on mind control, and I don't know if you have as well.
No, I haven't actually.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, he's quite an influential guy in the sort of monarch, pockets of this field.
Yeah.
And I would have to say that if you do read those books, please do, and everyone who's read them will agree with me. There are parts of them, long sections, which are frankly incoherent.
There you go.
There is stuff there which is simply not. It is not credible.
Okay.
Either he has worked out the sort of great truth which has either he knows it all and everybody else knows nothing, or it's the other way around.
And this is regards to the facts about mind control, or is this about other areas like religion, for example?
No, specifically I was thinking about his complicated, highly complicated structure of mind control, which he goes into.
Okay.
But nonetheless, mind control itself, hypnosis and so on, is a valid area of research and something which perhaps we should be looking at.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, I think so. It's an aspect that is there, and as far as we know that it is potential to create multiple personalities and all of this, and we have the agents.
And sort of looking at the old Manchurian candidate.
Oh yeah, there you go. Manchurian.
I had to get that one in.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that is that is obviously an important and very relevant area of research. And if there are other like wannabes out there who are listening to this and who think there might be something in this, I would encourage them, like take a look at what happened over there in America just recently when 33 people were killed at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Have a look at that, see what you can discover there, because I think there's quite a convincing case that guy was not in total possession of his faculties.
That's right. I believe so too. One thing I did want to sneak in here before we kind of round things up for today.
Sure.
Did you get a chance yet to read? Let's see here. I'm looking for my notes here. Because we talked about this a little bit in the mail. This was the story, about the Glasgow necropolis area being a Masonic symbol, the entire giant.
Oh yes, I read about that. That was a really interesting article.
Yeah.
And if I can just say something about that one, again, I think you'll find I'd be very surprised if this wasn't the case. But I mean, it sounds to me like that's a kind of controlled sort of disclosure. But I strongly suspect that anybody who knew anything about Freemasonry, who knew anything about symbolism 10, 15 years ago could have looked at that place and told you precisely that.
Of course.
That basically it's a Freemasonic temple. I'm sure that's the case, just judging from the kind of reports which I've read about the site.
Definitely, and was one interesting thing that you, when you wrote about this or brought that up in your blog, you mentioned a connection with a novel called Lanark, if I'm pronouncing that correct.
Yes, that's right. Yes, Lanark by Alistair Gray.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is the fascinating thing here, is that he is an artist who's opened the Stargate, sort of through his heightened genius of imagination and so forth. So he is a guy who is semi sort of mediumistic in the same way that Dylan is, in the same way that John Lennon was, in the same way that great artists are. And or any artist, any creative endeavor, in fact, tells us something about reality. And he has thrust his feelers out there, and he's come up with this idea that actually this necropolis,